So I've moved places a little bit, and I'm going to start doing these in my bedroom, as probably gives me a little bit more peace. So very happy Beltane to you all, and I know I've missed Ostara, but I will get on to doing that at some point. But today is May the 1st, May Day, Beltane. So to give a brief overview or synopsis for Instagram, celebrated from April the 30th, May Eve, April the 30th, May Eve, yeah, I already said that. So May the 1st, May Day, May the 2nd, kind of the Boxing Day to May, celebrating male fertility, the last planting. Traditionally, weddings and engagements would take place, and a balefire lit to help bring balance between the Fae, or the other realm, and this realm. Deities Cernunnos, Pan, Loki, Frey, and Belenos. Hopefully that was enough to get it all on Instagram. For all you TikTokers and YouTubers, let me continue from there. So, looking at it traditionally, and I will try and, because I've got it written all over here, at the sort of way back, it's a very old Celtic celebration. And it is sort of the equal, well, not just sort of, it is the equal, but opposite to Samhain. Just as Imbolc and Mabon are the opposites, Yule and Midsummer opposites. Imbolc and Mabon, of course, are equinoxes. Yule and Midsummer are, did I get that wrong? I can't remember. I can't remember the name for them. Solstices, that's it. Yule and Midsummer solstices. And then you're left with Ostara and Lammas, and Samhain and or Samhain and Beltane. So Beltane and Samhain, it's that part of the year where ancient beliefs were that the veil, or the wall, if you like, or the barrier between realms was at its thinnest. So at those times of year, it was all about working with the other realm energy. Now I'm going to refer to it as the Fae, as a colloquial term for all those other realms that we can't tangibly see, but we often feel at certain times of year. So in November, you're using the energy of that, or that to send messages to lost loved ones in other realms, and to use and help balance that Fae energy, to prevent mischief from them, because, you know, if they come in this realm when they're not, and you're not controlling them, they just get up to mischief, because it, as a child would, going to a new country or a new school or a new area. Anyway, so to prevent mischief, prevent changelings and possession, because that was, they often thought that's what happened, because they'd want to stay in this realm and not go back, you know. And May, it's much the same, though the positive energy of those realms is to, you know, control and use the abilities of the Fae creatures to bring fertility and protection to all the new animals and peoples that have been born. And the negative, of course, is the same thing. Because when you've got newborns around, that is when they'll often jump into children as changelings. That was the superstition. Now, why babies at May? Well, in nature, of course, this time of year, even now, in modern times, the migratory birds, they're starting to mate. Native birds did all that in bulk. So native birds are beginning to fledge. Now, we use that as a very generalised term. It's different for each individual species. But in general, migratory birds only start nesting and mating now as summer begins. And most flowers are at full bloom, if you look around, especially lilacs and lilies. You know, Lily of the Valley is connected to May Day. It's the flower for May. Fruit trees also in full blossom. Most especially linked with May would be the hawthorn, which isn't a fruit tree, but it is a blossoming tree or hedge, you know, so you'll see a lot of blossoms right now. In terms of farming, even now, today, the end of April would be the end of the lambing period, you know. This is also the time where hunting is still banned, even today, you know, because baby animals around, you don't hunt pregnant animals. Anywho, so you'll also see the end of the manure spreading and planting, and that was traditionally, or in a more, not the oldest celebration, but the sort of medieval celebration of Beltane, was exactly that, to celebrate the last of the planting, where everybody's starting to relax a bit. I realise I'm probably going to have to go on to a second video about May Day. But, you know, I hope you don't mind. But anyhow, also this is the time of year where cattle are put into the summer pasture because the grass is at its fullest growth, etc. So traditionally, in medieval times, even up to the 19th century, I read on Britannica, which is a very good source for information, cattle were driven through 2 bonfires to protect them from disease before being let out into summer pastures. And like I say, still observed quite into modern times there. So other things that are celebrated, like we've already covered the last planting, and the fact that fires are lit. Now, the word Beltane comes from the Celtic god Belenos, and Tane, or Bel meaning bright. He was called the shining one or the bright one, and Tane meaning is the old Celtic word for fire. So of course fires were lit to ward off the fae from doing mischief around the village, of course, and also to warm the village. And fire, of course, is considered cleansing, so you have the whole cattle thing as well. And on going right back to the start, traditionally on April the 30th, there would be the fertility celebrations taking place. Not something that perhaps we would approve of now, but the girls who had had their first blood by this point, maidens, were sent out into the woods to collect wildflowers, which is why wildflowers are connected with May Day celebration. However, it's unlucky to have flowers in the house on May the 1st. And the reason for that is, you know, the maidens that went to gather flowers and the young eligible men that went after them to deflower them, if the girls came home without flowers and with a betrothal, because, you know, if you bang a girl, you're supposed to marry her, then it was great for the family, you know, because they came back with flowers and no betrothal. It was considered unlucky because they'd have to wait another year, and waiting another year means they're less desirable, less of a bride price. That's what things were like back then, you know. So, so on May the 1st, that's when engagements were made, and the betrothed, the couples that came back, were married for a year and a day, which is still traditionally observed in pagan hand fastings. On May the 2nd would be last year's people. You see, 1 year would bring them to May the 1st, 1 year and a day brings them to May the 2nd. So May the 2nd was more of a humble celebration where you were celebrating marriage as opposed to fertility. You know, so all the business went on May Eve and May Day, but come the day after, that was all the marriage. It was all very serious, you know. And that's when, even now, they're married for as long as the love shall last. The other thing that would happen is couples that didn't want to continue because after a year and a day, they weren't getting on. There was uncoupling, also known as severing the knot, because in hand fasting you have your hands tied together and you're supposed to stay together overnight with that, you know, and then, you know, you get on with your lives. But if you then decide you don't want to be together anymore, they ceremonially cut through the knot that was made. So it's called severing the knot. And we do have a little Betty here. Look at her little face, look. Because I'm trying this anew and not sending my husband away while I do these videos, but me go away instead. She's a little bit, doesn't know what's going on. So I'll keep her, you know, I know it's a bit of a distraction. She's really cute, but, you know, got to keep her. She's very sensitive to change, bless her. Anywho, to carry on, so severing the knot, that would also take place because even today, in my belief, love doesn't last forever. Nothing lasts forever. And it's sad, but it also releases both the people to continue and find more love. So severing the knot, which brings us to a nice end to the video, actually. So May the 2nd, severing the knot and getting married. See you on the next one. A bit more about May Day.